There will come a time, perhaps many, when you do not feel like continuing, when your mind is tired, your heart is weary, and your motivation has vanished like a shadow at dawn. In those moments, your future will not be determined by how you feel, but by what you choose to do. You must force yourself to keep going. This is not a punishment, it is a privilege. It is the golden opportunity to train the most powerful muscle you possess, not your arms or your legs, but your will. You see, greatness is never born in convenience. It is forged in the crucible of resistance. Champions are not crowned because they found the easiest path. They are made because they refuse to quit walking the hard one. When you force yourself to continue in the face of fatigue, rejection, or failure, you are not betraying yourself, you are honoring your potential. You are telling the universe, I will not be dictated by discouragement. I will be led by destiny. Every moment you push forward against resistance, you are writing a new line in your legacy. You are becoming the kind of person who does not wait for perfect conditions, who does not wait to feel ready. Instead, you decide to move, and in doing so, you become unstoppable. Remember, the body will obey the mind if the mind is ruled by purpose. Your vision must become the general, and your body the soldier. You will have days when you do not feel powerful. You will have hours when doubt whispers louder than belief. But if you continue, just continue, you will awaken something in yourself more valuable than talent or luck, the habit of perseverance. And that habit, it will carry you farther than inspiration ever could. So when the path is uphill, climb. When your legs tremble, stand taller. When your heart wavers, command it to believe. Because the man or woman who forces themselves to keep going becomes something far more rare than skilled. They become unstoppable. Keep going, not because it's easy, but because it is the only way forward. Persistence is a principle, not a mood. It's not a fleeting feeling that shows up when we're feeling motivated, excited, or inspired. It's something deeper. Something that remains steady even when our emotions waver. Relying on moods to sustain effort is like building a house on sand, unreliable, inconsistent, and bound to collapse under pressure. Principles, on the other hand, are the bedrock of sustained effort. They exist regardless of how we feel in the moment. Persistence, when understood as a principle, becomes a force that drives us forward, not because we want to in every moment, but because we've committed to continuing no matter what. Too often, people wait for the perfect moment to act, when they're in the right mood, when conditions feel ideal, or when inspiration strikes. But those moments are rare and fleeting. Moods change like the weather, and if our actions are dictated by them, progress becomes unpredictable and slow. Persistence kicks in when motivation fades. It's what gets us to show up day after day, even when we're tired, uninspired, or facing setbacks. It's the quiet decision to keep going, not because it's easy or exciting, but because we've decided that the goal is worth the effort. True persistence is built on discipline and clarity. It's rooted in understanding why something matters deeply to us. When that reason is strong enough, we don't need to feel good to do the work. We just do it. That doesn't mean we're robotic or emotionless. It means we've accepted that our feelings don't get to make the final call when it comes to our commitments. This mindset transforms how we approach challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as reasons to quit, we see them as part of the process, expected, normal, and something to be moved through, not avoided. When persistence is treated as a mood, it becomes conditional. We persist only when it feels convenient or when things are going our way. But when it's a principle, it's unconditional. We keep going even when we're not sure if we're making progress, even when doubt creeps in, and even when we'd rather do anything else. This kind of persistence doesn't always look glamorous. It's often quiet, behind the scenes, and unnoticed. But it's also the kind that produces real results over time. Some of the most successful people in any field are not necessarily the most talented or gifted. They're the ones who keep showing up. They keep writing, training, building, or studying long after others have given up. That's because they've made persistence a part of who they are. It's not something they turn on when they feel good. It's something they carry with them every day like a compass pointing them forward. They understand that progress is less about big leaps and more about consistent steps, taken over time, regardless of the emotional weather. Ultimately, turning persistence into a principle is an act of self-respect. It's saying, I believe in this enough to keep going even when it's hard. It's understanding that long-term growth, mastery, and fulfillment don't come from bursts of motivation, but from a steady commitment to the process. Moods may come and go, but principles endure. And persistence, as a principle, becomes the quiet engine that powers real, lasting change. There is a powerful truth often overlooked in the pursuit of success. Motion defeats emotion. At first glance, this may seem like a clever phrase, but within it lies a profound principle capable of transforming not just your productivity, but your entire mindset. Too often, we wait for the right feeling to begin. We wait for motivation to strike, for inspiration to lift us, for confidence to appear. We believe that the internal emotional state must precede external action. But in reality, it is the opposite that brings real change. The key to progress is not waiting for the right mood. It's moving despite the wrong one. When you feel low, discouraged, or overwhelmed, the worst thing you can do is sit still. Inactivity reinforces doubt. Stillness amplifies fear. The longer you wait in hesitation, the more powerful your negative emotions become. They thrive in silence. They grow in inaction. But the moment you begin to move, even with hesitation or uncertainty, you disrupt their control. Movement is a declaration that you are in charge, not your feelings. Think of a heavy stone at rest. It seems immovable, but with a push, any push, it begins to shift. And once in motion, momentum does what force alone cannot. So it is with your life. A single act, a single small task, done in the face of doubt, can begin to unravel the power your emotions hold over you. Taking action when you don't feel like it builds inner strength. It develops your ability to lead yourself. This is one of the greatest forms of power, to act when it would be easier not to move forward when everything in you says to stop. Because in that moment, you are no longer a servant to your circumstances. You have become the commander of your response. Even if the action is small, standing up, opening the laptop, writing one sentence, making one phone call, it's a signal to the mind and body that forward movement is possible, and that is often all you need to begin a cascade of progress. Your emotions may protest, but they do not have the final word. Your action does. You cannot control every thought or every feeling, but you can control what you do next. And by choosing to act, you change the internal environment. You teach your mind that it does not need to wait for a perfect emotional state to be effective. You train your body to respond to command, not condition. Over time, this becomes a habit, and once it is a habit, it becomes a force. Some of the most successful individuals in history were not those who felt great every day. They were simply people who learned how to move when others paused. They acted through resistance. They pushed through doubt. And because of that, they built a momentum that carried them far beyond their original feelings. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to feel strong. You simply need to move, because once you begin, motion builds clarity, momentum builds confidence, and action builds freedom. In every difficult moment, remember, your next step, however small, is the most powerful tool you have. Motion defeats emotion, always. Comfort is the enemy of growth. This is not a metaphor, it is a law of human development. Growth, by its very nature, demands friction, challenge, and discomfort. Yet most people spend their lives arranging their circumstances to avoid difficulty, seeking security over struggle, routine over risk. But what they fail to understand is that the very comfort they chase is the same force that keeps them from reaching their full potential. Comfort is seductive. It feels safe. It offers predictability and ease. But it also builds invisible walls around your potential. Within comfort, there is no urgency to stretch. There is no pressure to adapt, to improve, or to rise. Everything you are today is the result of what you have tolerated in the past. If you have grown, it is because you stepped beyond ease. If you have remained stagnant, it is because you have settled into the soft illusion of security. The greatest transformations happen when you are uncomfortable, when your routines are shaken, when your limits are tested, when you're forced to question your assumptions. That is where real development begins. Discomfort is not a signal to retreat. It is a signal to pay attention. It is the call to expand. Every skill you've ever learned, every fear you've ever overcome, every step forward you've taken in your life, none of it happened in a moment of ease. It came when you chose the harder path. It came when you were uncertain, when you doubted yourself, but moved anyway. That is what growth requires, not just action, but uncomfortable action. Comfort whispers lies. It tells you you've done enough. It says this is good enough. It urges you to avoid the next challenge because the one you just finished was hard. But growth is not a destination you reach and then rest. It is a continual process. The moment you stop pushing forward, the moment you stop stretching, you begin to decline. Not visibly, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, you begin to shrink from who you could have become. The truth is, you were made to grow. You were designed to evolve, to build, to adapt. But none of that happens in the comfort zone. That place may feel familiar, but it does not nurture your greatness. It preserves your past. If you want to become more stronger, wiser, more capable, you must become someone who chooses growth over comfort again and again. And thus, this doesn't mean you must seek suffering for its own sake. It means you must stop running from the discomfort that comes with change, with effort, with risk. You must lean into it, not away from it, because on the other side of that discomfort is where the breakthroughs live. It is where your power is refined. It is where your potential turns into reality. So the next time you face a choice between what's comfortable and what challenges you, remember what's truly at stake. Comfort might give you a moment of ease, but it will cost you a lifetime of potential. Growth, on the other hand, will test you, but it will also transform you. Choose discomfort. Choose progress, because comfort is the enemy of growth, and growth is the path to everything you're truly capable of becoming. Self-discipline is your silent partner. It doesn't shout. It doesn't seek attention. It doesn't need recognition, but it is always there, working behind the scenes, keeping you aligned with your purpose even when motivation disappears. In the journey of success, talent may open the door, opportunity may knock, but it is self-discipline that keeps you in the room when things get hard. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about restriction, about denying pleasure or forcing yourself to live a rigid life, but true self-discipline is not about punishment. It is about alignment. It is the ability to bring your daily actions in line with your long-term goals. It means choosing what you want most over what you want now. It is a quiet but powerful force that helps you become the person you said you wanted to be when your emotions try to pull you away from that path. There will be days when you feel inspired and energized, but there will also be days when you feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed. This is where most people fall off. They wait for the right mood to return. But those who succeed at the highest levels understand that success is not built on feelings, it is built on consistency. And consistency is the child of discipline. Self-discipline is what gets you out of bed when excuses feel valid. It is what keeps you working when no one is watching. It is what drives you to improve when nobody is clapping. It is quiet, yes, but its impact is loud. You don't need to announce your discipline. Your results will do that for you. In business, in fitness, in learning, in relationships, every area of life is governed by cause and effect. What you plant today, you will harvest tomorrow. Self-discipline ensures that you keep planting even when the weather isn't ideal. It keeps you focused on the process rather than the promise of instant rewards. And in doing so, it creates results that others call luck or natural talent, when in reality they are simply the compound effects of discipline over time. The most powerful aspect of self-discipline is that it becomes easier the more you use it. Like a muscle, it grows stronger with repetition. The more you practice doing what must be done, regardless of how you feel, the more you trust yourself. You build a reputation with yourself that says, I follow through. And that trust becomes the foundation for confidence, resilience, and achievement. Success doesn't come to the most emotional, the most excited, or even the most gifted. It comes to the most disciplined, because discipline means you will show up on good days and bad. Discipline means your goals matter more than your moods. Discipline means you are serious, not just interested. So treat self-discipline like a partner, not the loud, flashy kind, but the steady one. The one who never quits. The one who's there every single day, doing the work without applause. Let it guide your actions, shape your habits, and support your vision. Because in the end, it's not talent, not luck, not even motivation that determines who wins. It's the quiet force of discipline that never stops showing up. Vision must command your body. It is not your current feelings, physical fatigue, or momentary discomfort that should dictate your actions. It is your vision. That clear image of who you are becoming, what you are building, and where you are going must rise above the noise of temporary limitations. If your body is in charge, you will stop when it's tired. But if your vision leads, you will move even when every fiber wants to rest. The human body is designed for survival, not success. Left to its instincts, it seeks safety, ease, and conservation of energy. It doesn't naturally choose the hard path or the long road. It avoids pain and craves comfort. But your vision doesn't speak the language of survival. It speaks the language of legacy. Your vision sees the life that could be, not the discomfort that is. And that is why it must take command. There will be moments when your body says, not today, when it aches, when it's slow, when it resists. But in those moments, you must remind yourself that your body is the tool, not the leader. It responds to the orders it is given. If your mind is weak, the body will win. But if your vision is clear and uncompromising, the body will obey. Because even weakness can be overcome when direction is strong. Greatness is never achieved by listening to the body alone. Champions, innovators, and leaders don't accomplish what they do because they always felt capable. They do it because their vision was so vivid, so compelling that it pulled them forward. They ran on something deeper than energy. They ran on belief, purpose, and conviction. Their bodies followed where their vision led. This doesn't mean you ignore pain or destroy yourself through reckless overwork. It means you lead with purpose, not with impulse. It means you train your body to follow the standard your vision sets, not the mood it feels in the moment. When your vision is in control, you don't just do what's easy, you do what's necessary. You don't just act when you feel like it, you act because it's part of becoming who you are meant to be. Vision must be more than a wish. It must be detailed, focused, and non-negotiable. You must see it so clearly in your mind that your body begins to respond as if it's already real. This mental clarity creates physical drive, and that drive can outlast pain, fatigue, and fear. When your vision is truly in charge, your body will rise to meet it. It will adapt, endure, and perform, not because it wants to, but because it has no other option. Your body is strong, but it needs a reason to be stronger. It needs direction, and that direction comes from within. The clearer your vision, the more obedient your actions become. So strengthen the image of your goal. Refuse to let it be clouded by laziness, discomfort, or doubt. Let it speak louder than tired muscles or anxious thoughts. Because in the end, those who succeed are not those who had the most energy every day. They are the ones whose vision was in command. Every day. Let your body follow. Let your vision lead. Every struggle is a seed of strength. At first, it doesn't look like it. Struggles feel heavy. They feel frustrating, painful, and often unfair. But hidden within every challenge you face is the raw material for your next level of strength, wisdom, and growth. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness before it can rise, so too must you sometimes be placed in difficulty before your potential can break through. Struggles are not signs of weakness. They are invitations to become stronger. They are not punishments. They are preparation. Life doesn't hand you strength as a gift. It hands you situations that demand it. And when you meet those situations with courage and endurance, you earn the strength you need to rise. It may not happen instantly, but the transformation begins the moment you decide not to back down. Think of every difficult moment you've endured in your life, every loss, every failure, every hardship. At the time you may have felt overwhelmed or broken, but now, looking back, you can see how those experiences shaped you. They taught you something. They pushed you to dig deeper, to grow stronger, to become more. You didn't just survive them. You were sculpted by them. Struggles test your limits, and in doing so, they expand them. Without pressure, you remain the same. Without resistance, you never discover what you're capable of. The strongest trees grow in the windiest places. The most resilient minds are formed under pressure. The same principle applies to you. What you're going through now might be uncomfortable, but that discomfort is not meaningless. It is crafting within you the strength required for your future. Most people try to avoid struggle. They want the path of least resistance, but avoiding the challenge also means avoiding the strength that comes with overcoming it. Struggle is not something to fear. It's something to embrace, not because it's pleasant, but because it's necessary. Without it, there is no progress. Without it, there is no depth. It is in struggle that you meet yourself. It's where your values are tested, your beliefs are refined, and your determination is proven. Anyone can keep going when things are easy, but it is in the hard times that your character is revealed and reinforced. Every time you persist through a challenge, you're not just solving a problem, you're building a stronger version of yourself. Understand this. Every struggle carries within it a gift, not in the form of comfort, but in the form of strength, perspective, and self-respect. When you get through something hard, really get through it, you walk differently, you think differently, you carry with you a quiet power that only those who've suffered and overcome can truly know. So when you find yourself in the middle of struggle, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Instead ask, what is this shaping in me? Because the pain you feel today is not pointless. It is planting something. And if you stay with it, if you learn from it, if you refuse to quit, what once felt like a burden will bloom into your greatest strength. Every struggle is a seed. Water it with effort, nurture it with patience, and it will grow into the strength that defines your future. Your breakthrough lies just beyond the breakdown, that moment when everything feels like it's falling apart, when your mind is exhausted, your heart is heavy, and your will feels like it's slipping. That moment is not the end. It's the edge of who you've been and who you're becoming. The breakdown isn't there to destroy you. It's there to reveal what still needs to be released, rebuilt, and redefined in you. It's the final test before the transformation. Most people see a breakdown as a sign to stop. When the pressure builds, when things don't go as planned, when emotions run high, they assume it's a sign they've gone too far or taken the wrong path. But what they don't realize is that the breakdown is often the doorway to the next level. It is the point where the old version of you can no longer carry the vision you hold. Something has to give, and that something is usually comfort, ego, or false limitations. Breakdowns are uncomfortable because they challenge your identity. They expose your fears. They force you to confront the parts of yourself that are no longer aligned with where you're going. That's why they hurt. That's why they shake you. But that's also why they matter. Because within that chaos is a new order waiting to emerge. When you are at your lowest, when you feel you have nothing left to give, that is when you are closest to accessing something deeper. The surface strength is gone, the willpower is drained, but in that raw, unfiltered space, you have the chance to tap into your core, the strength that doesn't come from effort alone, but from purpose. That's where breakthroughs are born. Not in comfort, not in control, but in surrender. Surrender not to defeat, but to the process of becoming. Breakthroughs don't come when everything is easy. They come when you've tried and failed, when you've given everything and still feel stuck. It is in that place where you want to give up but choose not to that something powerful shifts. You discover that you can endure more than you thought, that you can rise without guarantees, that you can build from rock bottom with nothing but belief. If you stop at the breakdown, you never reach the breakthrough. You settle for a lesser version of your life simply because you mistook a test for a final verdict. But if you hold on a little longer, push a little further, breathe through the fear and keep walking, you break through. And when you do, you realize it wasn't the breakdown that was the problem. It was the resistance to growth. Once you let go of what no longer serves you, you make room for what will elevate you. So, if you are in that place right now where everything feels too much, where quitting sounds easier than continuing, remember this. The pain is real, but so is the promise. Your breakthrough isn't somewhere far off. It's just beyond the moment when you think you can't go on. Stay with it. Rise through it. On the other side is not just victory, but the version of you who was always meant to emerge.